Hello lovely, today this is the second video, the second part of the mattress stitch tutorial. Last time we looked at how to work the mattress stitch going into the top of the stitches, and this one will be working into the side seams, into the side of the stitch, using the same technique but just slightly different by working into the body of the stitch. So hope you find it useful. I've got a little stitch marker here. You can use stitch markers if you wanted to hold the edges in place along to make sure that you don't make it wonky. So I'll just put that wee stitch marker in there so you can see the end. And you could put a few more along the way if you wanted to keep it steady and stable. But I'm just going to go for it just now. As I said, the contrasting stitch is going to be temporary. So, okay, so the same again. You want about 3 times the amount of yarn. So here's my yarn. There's 1, 2, 3, and then I'm just going to do a wee extra bit so that I definitely don't run out. So 3.5, yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, so now I'm going to, as before, put my yarn through, fold that over so I don't get the fuzzy bits in the road. I'll put my yarn through. I knew that was going to happen. It's the wool I've got here is pretty rubbish, to be honest. I got it free with a kit, and so I really just use it for scrap things, you know, just not actual garments or anything like that. I just use it for scrap. Okay, so that's that one in there, fine. And because it's a big long length, I'm just going to double it up a little bit to save me having to pull it all through like that. And I won't be doubling up the yarn once I'm sewing, it's just for handling purposes. Okay, so edge to edge, side to side, match them up. Make sure your corners are aligned. Make sure that you've got it the right way round. So remember I said these stitches are the inside, these stitches are the inside. Good job I checked. Oops. I'm all in what we would call a fankle. There we go. Fankle's a Scottish word for tangle, in case anybody's wondering. Okay, so that's me now. These are the back of the stitch I don't want anyone to see. This is the front stitch I do want people to see. So it's inside out just now. So the parts I don't want people to see are facing me and facing the wall, and the parts I do want people to see are hiding just now. Okay, so start off, insert into the corner. I'm going to do this one here. Oops. And then, as I said, you could tie it or you could go through it a few times. I'm just going to go through it one more time like that. And then the same on the opposite side. I'm going to use the furthest away loop. I didn't use a furthest away loop on the first one because this was actually a chain, so there isn't really a furthest away loop on that one, just a corner. So insert into the corner back loop of the opposite side like that, and then we're looping over. Now each of these are double crochet type stitches, so the long stitches here, we're going to treat the center bars as if they're V-stitches. So if I turn it this way, we've got our double crochet, well these are granny style clusters, but they're made up of double crochet type stitches, and then this is a double crochet type stitch as well. So if I show you this way, there's the central bars there, see them? So in the middle of the stitch, the ones that are really obviously standing out to you. It's not super essential which one you grab, it's whichever one is sticking out to you when you're on your path to sew. but I just wanted to show you this is where we're aiming for, these kinds. So when I turn it this way, we can see it kind of looks a bit like the V on the top. You see there. So I'm going to go for the one that's closest, and then you don't need to do every single wee bit that you see. I would skip a wee bit, in a wee bit, skip in all the way, because if you do too many you'll end up with a pucker again and it'll make your garment all wavy at the sides. So you don't want to make too many stitches into the side, so not too few, not too many. So I'm going to go into, here's a central bar that I can see. I'm just going to grab one of these central bars. I'll go in and pull it through away from me, and then I'm going to loop over and then catch the furthest away sort of bar and pull it towards me. Remember, I've folded over the yarn just to give it, make it easier for me to pull through, but I'm only going through one length of yarn. Okay, so now I'm looking here. I'm not going into that wee tiny space there. I'm going to go into this one here. Insert, push away from me, and then on the same, on the opposite, I'm not going into that one. I'm going into the next one because it lines up nicely, and I'll insert away and pull it towards me. Oops, I've got it twisted there. There we go. Right, insert to the closest for panel but the furthest away stitch bar, pull it away, push it away, and the same again, catch the, so if we look here, we've got our little bits, our little bars here, so I'm going to catch this one because it's furthest away. I'll bring it towards me. Seem to be crossing my yarn there. There we go. And then again, insert. So do you see that kind of looks like a V stitch, even though it's the side of the back of the stitch? So I'm going to insert here, and then farthest away, same thing. There's the V stitch kind of looking one. Go for the furthest away one. Make sure your yarn's out of the way so that you don't get it all tangled. And then you would just work your way along, keeping it nice and even. So you would just keep that going like that. And then when you're done, you would just give it a wee tug to pull it tighter, and as you can see, it's almost hidden. Now, did you see that I pulled it quite tight, and then what happened was this started tugging towards a puckering, so I don't want that to happen. So that's why I use my finger and my thumb just to give it the right amount of tension, the same as the rest of the garment. So when this is finished, you wouldn't see that. We don't want, obviously, this, but we also don't want this. So just make sure that you use the Goldilocks method of not too much, not too tight, not too slack, just right. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to pull these stitches out, and I'm now going to go ahead and do it with the same yarn, and it should be all hidden, and then you'll be able to see what it looks like for real. Okay, so I'll just swatch my yarn and pop this, pull this out. Okay, so just stick with me. Okay, so I've got my length of yarn, I've pulled out the pink stitches, and we're ready to go for the hidden stitch, the hidden mattress stitch. So let's get started. Now, it doesn't really matter if you start with the top end and work your way to the bottom, or the bottom up to the top, apart from joining the yarn, you might want to keep if you're knotting, you might want to keep it away from the underarm seam, but it's completely your choice, and also depends on left and right handed and so on. So I'm going to insert my yarn into the bottom. This time I am going to just tie it. Some people might do other things, but I'm just going to tie it. And then insert. This will be hidden with my ribbing that I'm going to add on, so I'm not too worried about that. So insert into the furthest away corner loop, and then round, and then back through, and I'm just going to work my way up. So this will be sped up, so that you can just see it in finishing. Now, what you might want to do is sew. You were seeing when I was demonstrating, I was doing it horizontal, so that I could show you, demonstrate it there. But you could also turn it vertical so that you can work it up like a ladder. Sometimes people might find that useful, to see the stitches better and to stop the yarn getting tangled. So that's an option for you. Just try and avoid, you might have seen at the start that sometimes I was having to move the yarn over the needle to stop it getting twisted and tangled. So just make sure that the yarn is out of your way and when you're pulling it through, and that you're going in the same direction of the yarn. Hopefully that you can see that. Now that one's just a little bit big. I'm going to take that one out. If you can't see any that you really want to go for, just, it doesn't really matter so much on the sides about back and front loops, so just go for the one that's most prominent. Don't force it, just go for the one that's sitting nicely. And also when you've got a long edge like I have, make sure that every so often you're checking that you're making sure they're all nicely matched and not one is ahead of the other like this, because then when you get to the end you're going to have it not meeting and it's not going to work properly. So that's why it's a good idea, especially if you're new to it, that you use stitch markers or pins or clips to hold it in place. I've just got one on the end, as I said, but just check it every so often and make sure that they're lined up nicely. So just always remember that it's like a shoelace. You're lacing up the shoes, or the back of a corset dress or something like that. You're lacing it up. And these little hooks, these little loops on your stitches are just like the loops on a dress or a shoe. It's the same thing, same technique. So there you go, I went in the wrong direction there, so flip through. So now I'm nearing the end. I'm going to take the stitch marker out now. Don't need that anymore. Because as you can see, it's pretty matched up. So, but just be mindful of making sure that you pull it, because when I leave it, you can see there's a little bit of a difference. So I'm going to make sure that I always check my tension, make sure it's matching. You will have noticed that I've flipped my direction of travel, and actually this is a better direction of travel for me. It stops the yarn getting crossed over, but as long as you make sure that your yarn's not getting tangled, it's fine. So that means that making sure the working tail is away from your stitch, from your working stitch. I don't know why I didn't do that at the start. I think it's tiredness. But that's fine. So when we get to the end, we're going to make sure that we secure it right to the corner again. We don't want any puckering, we don't want any, I seem to have went in the way, I didn't mean to, that could be fine. So you don't need to worry if it goes in a wee bit, that'll be okay. So I'm not going to take it out. Okay, so at this point you can see that I've got this gap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go insert into the very corner stitch like that, and then again I'm going to insert into the very corner stitch of the opposite side like that, and then there's the corners looking good. Give it a little tug, not too much, but just a little tug. That'll close up the stitches, but remember what I said, we don't want it to be too tight and we don't want it to be too narrow, so you can pull it a little bit closer to start with and then ease it out. It is a stitch that you can really pull. You can see now I've puckered it, so pull it too much so that you get the base nice and tight, because you don't want the top to be tight and the bottom not. So what I'm going to do is, as if it's a gathering stitch, I'm going to pull it all so it's really tight first, right to the bottom. So all I do is work that down. It's like a drawstring, like that. Now I could pull it really close like that, and I don't want that, but that's how you would get a gathered stitch. And now I can hold it at the bottom and just give it a gentle manipulation using my fingers and thumbs to pull it so that it sits with the same, so that's still not got the same tension as the rest of my garment. So I'm just going to use my fingers and thumbs to just gently work it out again. I'm happy with that now. So you can see that these are little threads from my previous joins, so I'll be snipping them. You can see that it's quite well worked. The only thing is here, so I'm going to just give that a little bit more manipulation. Yep, that's better. Now it's sitting quite flat. It's quite flat. Let's see the opposite side. Nice and flat. And then check the top. Yep, that's sitting nice and flat as well. And then in this particular pattern, this is going to be an armhole with a cuff, but it could be equally, it could be a sleeve. Before I cut this yarn though, I'm going to fasten it because I'm happy with the amount of tension on it now. So I'm going to, I've inserted into both now, I'm going to insert into the very middle where the stitch actually is and pull through there. And then I'm going to go the opposite direction and do the same thing, where I insert into the stitch, pull through like making a knot, and then if you want to make sure extra secure, you can weave in your end, even if you want to, by doing a few stitches down. And then going back up again into it. If you go down, up, down when you're weaving in, your stitches will never really come out because the opposite forces are working against each other. So your stitch will be nice and secure. I don't like weaving in ends. I think I've said this in a previous video, but if you haven't heard me saying it before, I really do not like weaving in ends. So I tend to make my garments with minimal seaming and minimal sewing. So this is yeah, I weave in as I go. Okay, so that's it secured. I think you'll agree it looks quite nice and neat. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please like and comment below, and make sure you tune into the next video. Bye lovely.